Call to order the regular commission meeting for the city of Dickinson for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. Our first item this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for attending this evening. We'll proceed with the order of business. Mr. Dossinger, are there any changes to the order of business?
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the Commission. There's no change to the order of business this evening.
Any questions on the order of business, commissioners? Not, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve
Second.
with a second. Any further discussion on the order of business as presented? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the order of business as presented, state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Our next item is the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the commissioners wish to discuss? There are no questions. I'd look for a motion on the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We'll move into administration and finance. Our first item this evening is the Gate City Bank Revitalization Program presentation. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So back on the March 3rd, 2026 City Commission meeting, the City Commission had approved for $1 million to be made available to the Dickinson Revitalization Program through Gate City Bank, which is done through some low-interest loans that any residents can apply for to use to revitalize their homes. Right now, we're just taking this opportunity to give Gate City Bank a chance just to do a quick little presentation on the project, if they wish, and then also to do just some quick photo ops, kind of usual stuff similar to last year. But yeah, now I'd just like to welcome Stephanie up from Gate City Bank.
And Jocelyn's going to do the presentation. Hi, Commissioners. Hello, Jocelyn from Gate City Bank, Stephanie Rieger. We're just excited to be able to work with you guys again. We were excited last year to be able to start this off and then bring this back in front of the community again. So if you guys have any questions on the program, let me know and I can answer those. Otherwise, like she said, we'll present you with the check for the funds that we're allocating and get started.
How many applicants did you have last year?
Yeah, so last year we had a total of, let's see, we had 4 applicants and then a total of $118,000-ish.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well,
A few
hopefully
other
we-
applicants that just didn't meet all of their requirements, but yeah.
That's nice. Well, did you say you want to bring up a big check with some money? Oh, we'll take it. So, just want to come around the back and then we'll just.
Or do you guys want to stand up front here?
We can, yeah.
Who wants to hold the big check?
All right, we'll just put her right in between us here. There you go. Can you get everybody in there? All right. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys.
you. We can just pick that up in cash, right? So,
At the drive up.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving into item B, we'll go to our gaming site authorization. First up is Dickinson Charities. The Dickinson Charities Office, Astoria Bar, Grill, Players, Sports Bar, Mr. Dossinger.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the commission. We do have 3 requests from the Dickinson Charities for gaming site authorizations. The first one's going to be Players Sports Club and Players Sports Bar and Grill located at 2050 First Avenue East. This would have an effective date of July 1 of 2026 to June 30th of 2027. This would be for bingo, raffles, pull tab jar, pull tab dispensing devices, and electronic pull tab device. City administration has reviewed the application, and we recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on this application and the authorization for Dickinson Charities? If there are none, I look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. We have another gaming site authorization for the Denton County Fair Association at the All-In Events and Catering. Mr. Dossinger?
We got 2 other sites we still got to go through for
Oh,
Dickinson
okay.
Charities. So gotta do one at
Oh,
a
for the
time.
Astoria.
Yep,
Correct.
sorry.
Yep.
So the next one for Dickens Charities is going to be Astoria Bar and Grill located at 363 15th Street West. This would also have an effective date of July 1 of 2026 to June 30th of 2027. This would be for raffles, electronic pull tab device, and 21. City staff has reviewed the application, and we recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on this application in the authorization? Hearing none, we'll go ahead. I'll look for a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And Mr. Dossinger, we have authorization for Players Sports Bar and Grill.
We have one more to approve for Dickinson Charities. That'd be the gaming site authorization for their office, which is located at
Okay.
1173 3rd Avenue West, suite number 36. Effective date would be July 1 of 2026 to June 30th, 2027. And this would allow them to conduct raffles at their office location. City staff has reviewed the application and recommends approval.
All right. Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on this authorization? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Move to
Miss-
approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Dossinger, we have another gaming site authorization.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one more gaming site authorization request for this evening. This will be for the Dunn County Fair Association, and this will be at the All-In Events Center located at 20 East Broadway Street. This would have an effective date of July 1st, 2026 to June 30th of 2027. This would be for bingo, pull tab dispensing device, electronic pull tab device, raffles, prize board, sports pools, 21, poker, and Calcuttas. City administration has reviewed the application, and we recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Dossinger. Any questions on this gaming site authorization at the All-In Event Center? If there are no questions, I look for a motion.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We'll move into our monthly financial report. This will be presented by Deputy Finance Director Greenwood.
Good evening, Mayor Decker and Commissioners. Nothing too crazy happened in February. Our general fund balance is at 10.2 million. For February, we should be around 17% for our revenues and expenses. We receive a majority of our property tax revenue in the first quarter, so that's why revenue is a little bit higher. Our sales tax is down compared to the last 2 years in February. We received less than $1 million in February. but year-to-date, we're still above last year. Our hospitality tax is about the same. Oil impact payment is trending downward. Year-to-date, we're about $70,000 short of what we received last year. Utility revenue is 11% collected. And then our enterprise funds are all on track for expenses. Any questions on that or the financial report that was in your packet?
Thank you, Mrs. Greenwood. Any questions on the monthly financial report?
Ms. Greenwood, any idea why those revenues were down on the sales tax at all? I mean, just,
No,
do
and
we
that,
have less going on?
yeah, that would probably be income from December.
Rolling.
Usually is like a 2-month lag, so I can't tell you why.
Any other questions for Mrs. Greenwood? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move into our HR monthly report. This will be presented by HR Director Nominuk.
Thank you, President Decker and Commissioners. First up, we have the Police Department. This report was as of March 18th. So we have 4 openings for police officer. We have 2 in background, and we are currently in the interview stage for the rest of those. Police sergeant, we did have an internal interview process going on for 1 sergeant. Public safety telecommunicator 1, we had 3 openings, 1 for 2025 and then 2 for the 26 budget that we're still trying to fill. We did have 1 hire and we have 2 in background. Animal control officer, we had 1 opening. We've had a couple declined offers and we've reopened the position. Fire department, firefighter paramedic, we have 1 opening. Did make a hire there and we have a couple in the interview stage. Part-time paramedic, a couple openings there, 1 hire, 1 in the background stage. And then the firefighter EMT, we had 1 opening. We opened that up internally only, and we are in the interview stage there. So we do have someone in mind there. Public Works, first is a street water department. Can't read that far away. 1 opening. We did hire Brett Christensen, and you did meet him last meeting. That's our water reclamation manager. Solid waste, we have 1 opening. We did fill that with Jerry Spencer. Street maintenance, we have 4 openings, and we've been doing lots of interviewing. We did make a couple offers and have more interviews coming up this week and next week. Utility operator, we have 1 opening, and that position hasn't closed yet. We'll be working on getting those interviews set up. Seasonals, we have 3 in the water operator, and buildings and grounds, we've got 12 openings, and then the seasonal utility, they've been really busy getting those interviews going and getting them set up. I know that Lane went out today and did some interviews with Public Works, so we'll be, it's a little bit early yet, but we'll be getting those filled soon. The motor vehicle division, we did have an opening for the title and registration coordinator that was hired internally. Pam Eno took that position. Engineering and community development, we filled the GIS technician that we had open, Ryan Fell, and he is on board and has been working. And then we have the code enforcement officer position opened up and getting those interviews ready soon. Museum, we had a seasonal position for the paleontology assistant, and we're in the background stage there. And then we had a part-time visitor services attendant position open up, and we've made an offer. We're in the background. Library had a limited hour library page, 2 openings, and we have 2 in the background stage already. And then we had a full-time librarian position opened up, and we did that internally as well and have made an offer. We're in the background. Marketing, we had 1 seasonal position left to fill as the seasonal programming assistant. We made an offer and we're in the background. And then the seasonal maintenance worker, looks like both of our staff that were with us last summer are coming back. And I'll stand for any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mrs. Nominick. Any questions for Mrs. Nominick or staff on the HR monthly report? Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move right along into community development. Our first item up is a Chapter 62 personal and commercial vehicle definitions. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek.
Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchak, City Planner. So Community Development staff is requesting the approval of zoning text amendments to Section 62-10 definitions, Section 62-471 accessory uses, and Section 62-594 parking of certain vehicles in Chapter 62 zoning of the Dickinson Municipal Code in order to update the definitions of personal, commercial, heavy, and recreational vehicles. Specifically, this ordinance eliminates the definitions for heavy recreational vehicles and heavy vehicles and adds the previously proposed definition for heavy vehicles into the commercial vehicle definition. This proposed amendment also clarifies commercial vehicles cannot be parked or stored on residential lots. So the changes that are being made as per the request of the Commission to Section 62-10 definitions, commercial vehicles means vehicles and equipment over 10,000 pounds gross empty weight used in any way as part of a commercial application, endeavor, or business. This presentation has a little bit of older language. The part that says and equipment has been removed, so it's just vehicles over 10,000 pounds. That should be reflected in the ordinance included in the packet, but I don't think it quite got updated in here. Personal vehicles, passenger cars, vans, pickup trucks, camper shells, toppers, and other similar appurtenances intended for attachment to a personal vehicle, trailers, and boats, and recreational vehicle definition stays the same. Section 62-471 accessory uses was updated to remove the heavy word in item 5, so that instead it just reads that commercial vehicles used to conduct home occupations is prohibited from parking in residential areas. And then section 62-594 was again updated for item 5, where it'll specify commercial vehicles shall not be parked on any lot in those residential zoning districts. Since these changes were made to the ordinance after the March 3rd City Commission meeting, staff has not received any further public comments, and staff would recommend approval of this ordinance. And I'm present to answer any questions you guys may have.
Our document still says equipment.
It does still say equipment?
Yes.
Yep.
Got it. That I can make sure to ensure that the ordinance that gets submitted at the end reads just vehicles and not equipment. Thought that I had gotten that updated. Apologies for that.
Yeah, okay, because I'm concerned with that,
Yeah,
with the equipment.
I think the change was made on Friday. That packet I think got out on Thursday, so I think that just wasn't quite updated. But I'll make sure that the ordinance does read that just vehicles, the equipment is not included.
Commissioners, any further questions for Ms. Burchek or city staff?
Mr. President, I guess I'll just kind of start off here. I guess I'm a little, if we're worrying about large vehicles, would it be better just to go by tonnage and get rid of some other, I mean, because I know there's some, we talked at the last meeting about recreational tow vehicles. Is that a recreational vehicle or is it a commercial vehicle? Would it be easier if we just went by tonnage?
So based on what we are at least proposing now, it's just anything used for commercial operations would factor into that commercial. So if something is being used, that's over 10,000 pounds, but it's being used recreationally or personally, it's not being used for any kind of generation of revenue, it would not classify under that commercial vehicle definition.
So a horse trailer tow vehicle?
As long as you're not making money off of that vehicle, it would not classify as commercial if it's just being used for personal use.
Well, if you talk to some of these rodeo people, they say they make money, but
They're trying to make it.
It's more of a hobby, but
I guess that would be my only concern would, you know,
yeah.
I
I mean,
know-
if
I
the
know.
clarification's there that it's not being used for
commercial
to
purpose.
make, yeah, the commercial use.
and the 10,000 pound is, I mean, is easy to verify because it's tagged in the car.
Mhm.
Every vehicle's got that tag on it. So so if you go by tonnage, I mean, at least there's some way to
Well,
verify
yeah.
this weight. So
Well, I would just, you know, if that amount we're stating, is that kind of a low end? I know there were some conversations last time about there's some vehicles that are close to that.
well, I think
Weight.
we were talking about
Yeah,
that tow vehicle for that RV was
Yep.
A Freightliner chassis cab.
650.
Well, where we clean that up now, where if they're not using that for a commercial application, it would be okay to park there. So
Yeah, 10,000 is a little bit on the lower end, but again, if it's not being used commercially, then it
Commercially.
doesn't meet no matter what.
And I had spoken to Josh early this morning and just before this meeting because I had been contacted by some race car drivers that were also using those types of trucks to pull their trailers to the different races, and they expressed concern, and Josh reassured me that that now falls under recreational vehicles because they don't use it for commercial use. So those vehicles would not fall under this anymore. So I'm fine with that.
I don't think we have any NASCAR race teams here.
Yeah.
So
Any other questions or comments? There are no questions or further questions or comments. I would look for a motion.
I would move to approve. This is second and final reading, correct? With the change to remove equipment from the commercial vehicle definition.
We have a motion to approve with the amendment.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
No.
Mr. Murphy?
aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Let's see, we got 6 minutes. Our next item is the 4th Street, 5th Street East, 26th Avenue East Improvement Bid Awards. And this will be presented by Engineer and Community Development Directors Sklacek.
Good evening, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a bid award to Northern Improvements Corporation for project number 2021-05, which is 4th Street East, 5th Street East, and 26th Avenue East improvement project. The bid opening took place at City Hall on Thursday, March 12th, 2026, where 2 bids were received. Engineer's opinion of probable cost for this project was $386,026.50, and the low bid total was $501,518.00. Some attributes for the project: there's a mill and overlay associated for the existing pavement along 4th Street East. new asphalt pavement along the existing unpaved route along 26th Avenue East and 5th Street East, and then some minor borrow ditch regrading to accommodate stormwater flows and some minor detention. And construction's planned to be completed during the 2026 construction season. Project was budgeted with the 26 capital improvement plan and funded through GPT. Although the low bid was slightly greater than our opinion of probable cost, it is much lower than what was ultimately budgeted for this year, and city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchek. Any questions on this bid award? If there are no questions or comments, I'd look for a motion on the 4th Street East, 5th Street East, 26th Avenue East improvements.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
second by Commissioner Frederick.
Is there a portion of this, Josh, that was paved? I thought this was all gravel.
So from 25th Avenue East,
Oh,
there's, I can't remember the footage, but there's a distance of 4th Street East that does have pavement on it.
Okay.
I think
And that's the part we'll be-
5th does too, but it's just degraded so much that it's.
oh, maybe it just looks like gravel.
Yeah, yeah, it has.
There
It
was,
just-
there was no ability to pull a pavement core, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be milling and overlaying that little chunk of 4th, so.
Okay.
And there's some substantial on that far east 26 that the water sits down in that area, so this will be a big improvement over there to help with that, I think.
In particular, and this was actually a piece of feedback actually from the fire department. They brought this up probably a couple years ago, and then there's some feedback from the citizens in that area. But there's a fire hydrant down in that corner, and so we'll actually raise that fire hydrant, regrade around that so that it's accessible for the fire department. But also, there's some minor detention volume there and whatnot. That'll actually remain in place. That's all well within the right of way. So that'll remain in place, but it won't impact negatively against that property owner, as well as make that fire hydrant accessible.
Okay.
So we have a motion with a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We got time for one more. Road maintenance mill and overlay bid award, Mr. Sklatchek.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a bid award to Northern Improvements Company for project number 2026-01. That's a 26 road maintenance project, the mill and overlay portion of this project. The bid opening took place at City Hall on Thursday, March 12th, 2026, where 2 bids were received. Engineer's opinion of probable cost was $4,104,858.75, and the lowest total bid was $4,125,016.25. Some key attributes for the project: mill and overlay of existing paved streets, sidewalk and curb and gutter improvements. There are planned for 3 water main gate valve replacements within the project area, as well as there's 3 short segments of sanitary sewer based on the TV data that we're able to complete with our public works team. Some damage to the sanitary sewer main, so 3 segments will be repaired, and then replacing and upsizing storm sewer along Kaczynski Drive to the outfall in the Hart River. Construction is planned to complete during the 2026 construction season, and it was on the 2026 capital improvement plan using GPT, some cash on hand, and for the utility improvements, and then a special improvement district is associated for the sidewalk and drive approaches. And with that, city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchek. Any questions on this 2026 road maintenance project? If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Bear,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We'll go to 5 o'clock, public hearing time. Our first item at 5 o'clock is our Energy Center 6th rezone. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek. Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. Natalie Burchek, City Planner. We'll wait for that to switch over. So the applicant is requesting approval of a zoning map amendment from general industrial or GI and public or P to just public for Lot 1 of Block 1 of the Energy Center 6th Edition subdivision, a zoning map amendment from general industrial or GI to public for Lot 7 of Block 1 of the proposed Energy Center 6th Edition subdivision, and a zoning map amendment from public and general industrial to general industrial for Lot 5 and 6 of Block 1 of the proposed Energy Center 6th Edition, located in the city of Dickinson. So this site consists of approximately 31.98 acres that is being rezoned. As you can see on the map, it's currently shown as 2 different parcels. There is an associated final plat that was recently heard at the previous Planning and Zoning Commission that took place on March 11th. That splits these 2 parcels into a total of 7 parcels with 2 on that city property to the north and then an additional city property that is on that southwest corner where we have a lift station located. And then the remainder of the property will still be owned privately and is zoned as industrial for future development. It'll be 4 lots there. As of now, staff has not received any public comments regarding this proposal, and staff would recommend approval of this rezoning request contingent on the approval of PLP-001-2026 and the recording of the final Energy Center 6th Edition subdivision and the associated development agreement. Additionally, the property owner's representative is present to answer questions you may have, and I'm present to answer any as well. Staff would recommend approval with those conditions.
Thank you, Ms. Burchek. This is ordinance number 1850. And again, this is an Energy Center 6th rezone. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Ms. Burchek or city staff? If you have no questions, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. If anybody wishes to come forward, has any comments on this rezone, please come forward, state your name, and let the commission know your concerns. Anyone have any concerns on the Energy Center 6th rezone? Anyone from the public? Seeing no one from the public has any concerns or questions on this rezone, I'll close the public hearing. Again, this is the first reading of 1850. Commissioners, do you have any further questions? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Our next public hearing will be a Chapter 62 amendment for residential storage containers. This will be presented by City Planner Burchek.
Thank you, Commissioners. So Community Development staff is requesting approval of a zoning text amendment to the notes for Table 62-162-2, permitted uses by zoning district, in Section 62-162 Development Regulations of Chapter 62 Zoning of the Dickinson Municipal Code, in order to prohibit the use of storage containers as accessory structures in residential zoning districts within city limits. This amendment also subjects storage containers located outside of the residential zoning district to the same screening requirements as outdoor storage. So the proposed amendment reads as for Note 7, all allowable accessory structures to a residence shall be limited to a maximum of 1,800 square feet and for a maximum of 3 detached structures for the first 1 acre or less. The total area of all accessory structures may be increased by 70 square feet for each additional 1/10 acre of land above 1 acre. Accessory structures shall include the following: barns, stable, storage buildings, and detached personal vehicle garages. Intermodal storage containers, as defined in the International Building Code, are not permitted within city limits in the R1, R2, R3, mobile home, or downtown commercial zoning districts for a period of greater than 30 days. In all other zoning districts, storage containers shall be subject to outdoor storage screening requirements. So this continues to allow these storage containers that are used for if we have a resident that's moving or if we have a resident that suffers a fire and they want to use these for storage and just have them placed on their driveway, they're still able to do that for 30 days. But it prevents them from being used as permanent structures in the residential zoning districts. In all other zoning districts and in the ETZ, these still need to be permitted, but they are allowed as long as they get permitted if they're being used as permanent structures. Just in the residential zoning districts within city limits, they would not be permitted. As of now, staff has not received any public comments regarding this proposal. I'm present to answer any questions you guys may have, and staff would recommend approval of this text amendment.
I'll hold my questions right now. Staff have any commissioners have any questions for staff?
Ms. Burchak, so you mentioned like in the case of a traumatic event, fire or something, if that time period is more than 30 days, what is the...
So if the time period goes past 30 days, they're always able to reach out to the building department and work with them to add extensions to that
Okay.
time. It's just preventing them from being on like a permanent foundation is what would not be allowed.
Okay.
Any other questions? So, I have a few. I'm not going to say they're popular, but I've seen people building houses with storage containers. Is that allowed?
So once you've significantly altered them enough that they no longer meet that building code definition, then they would not be considered as intermodal storage
Intermodal,
containers and they
okay.
could be permitted.
Okay. And then two, reading through the whole ordinance, there's a section in there that says on commercial that if they're subject to screening and landscaping. What do we mean by landscaping?
So that's usually just a landscape buffer. So usually about a 20-foot buffer in between the right-of-way limits or whatever the property line is. And it would only apply for if they're next to less intensive zoning districts. So if you have an industrial site next to an industrial site, no screening would be required between those two properties. If you have an industrial site across from a residential site, that's when the screening would be required, as per our municipal code screening requirements for outdoor storage.
So I'm just thinking of a few of them that are sitting along Ballard that have containers in the back of their commercial structures buffered right up against residential, and all that separates them is an alleyway. What are they gonna use for a buffer?
So
Or a screen?
in some of those situations, it would either have to be screened with a privacy fence or would just have to have some kind of landscape buffer. A lot of those, if they don't have a landscape buffer right now, are most likely are legally non-conforming with our code right now, as they should have that landscape buffer regardless of what the use is, if that zoning district is adjacent to residential.
So the same follows commercial against commercial? There's no screening requirements?
So as long as they're the same commercial zoning district, there wouldn't be any screening requirements.
I guess I just have, we have all these containers right now that exist that I guarantee you nobody's gone and notified anybody, and now we're gonna drop this, and all of a sudden, there's buffering requirements, and we didn't even take care of it in the past.
Like I said, the buffering requirements are already in place. Those buffering requirements aren't being added with this ordinance. That's something that should already be taking place between commercial and residential. The only thing that would change would be screening, which would just be putting up a fence if they were ever to go for any kind of permit.
How do you put up a fence on an alley coming out of the back of a commercial garage?
If it's on the back of a commercial garage, I would think that the garage would serve as screening. If the garage is right there.
The containers sitting on the back of the commercial garage. and it goes almost, I'm just thinking of what I've seen, goes almost to the alley.
It's gonna be like any ordinance. Not one size fits all. It's gonna have to be looked at, talked about, and worked with planning and the building department, just like we do with everybody. I don't think we're dropping this on anybody. If that person that's got one now, that's non-conforming, comes and gets a permit, then we're gonna say, hey, you need to put up a fence or you need to put in landscaping. We're not gonna go run around, I don't believe, and tell them to change it right now. Is that, do I
Mayor
understand
Decker,
that correctly?
Commissioners, that would be correct. Some of the containers that are actually on properties now have been permitted. There are others that just get placed. So there's different uses for these large discount store north of town. They use them as shipping containers. They come and go. That's the general purpose of this. When somebody wants to make it stationary, that's when you need a building permit. That's when they become, they don't move. So that's what we're addressing now. As these items become more popular, people are asking questions, and that's why we have come forward with this ordinance also, so that do they meet the requirements from the building code for these items is, does it really make them viable to place on a residential lot, excuse me. And feasibility is part of the building code. And that's why we're moving forward with this also.
Any other comments or questions?
So there'll be some sort of grace period or, time for these individuals to get that permitting in place if they, on the commercial side?
On the
And-
permitted items, it's a non-conforming structure. There's nothing for them to do because it was permitted
Okay,
prior to this. If somebody wants to bring one in, they would have to meet the current code. And some of the size on these on residential, our code also states you have to match the home. Most of these containers be pretty hard to match the home without extensive renovation of those containers, which somebody could do.
And if somebody
a
wanted to,
home.
if somebody wanted to build a shipping container house, the code allows for that, but there's
Absolutely.
requirements they have to meet, correct?
We do have a coffee shop behind the old creamery that actually permitted. It is a,
structure.
yes.
I guess Chief President, do these, I got one question for you. On the fire side of that, do these cause issue in a residential zone for access to any of these types of buildings?
Commissioner, I mean, it possibly could depending on its location, but
They seem pretty,
yeah, they seem to kind of keep them away enough to where we still have access.
Okay.
I mean, it's all dependent kind of on what's being stored in it that can kind of create the hazard for us. Or
just to access, I think some of the difficulty to get into them sometimes.
Any other comments or questions before I open up public hearing? Commissioners have no further comments or questions. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. If anyone wishes to come forward, please state your name, let us know your concerns. Anyone from the public? This would be ordinance 1851. Anyone from the public have any questions on the Chapter 62 amendment, residential storage containers, ordinance 1851? There are no public comments or questions. I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, any further comments or questions on this Chapter 62 amendment?
Mr. President.
Commissioner Bear?
Ms. Burchak, so, a little off of what Commissioner the commissioners were also saying. Would this also include like a construction worker that uses a container to store their stuff while they're working on these various housing projects?
Yes, it'd be the same situation where if it's just a temporary use for any kind of construction, it would be allowed for 30 days, and after 30 days, they would just work with the building department to add any extensions that they need.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Our next public hearing is Chapter 50, our food truck license. Again, got a busy night. City Planner Burchak.
You
This
know
will
it.
be ordinance 1852.
Thank you, commissioners. So, the community development staff is requesting approval of text amendments to section 50-75, commercial use of sidewalks, streets, and public grounds restricted, and to section 50-76, permitted uses of sidewalks, streets, or other public grounds, in chapter 50, streets, sidewalks, and other public places of the Dickinson Municipal Code, in order to update the definitions and licensing procedures relating to mobile vendors and mobile food units. So this is going to be a bit of a longer presentation because there's a lot of changes being made to the ordinance or to the municipal code. First, we are updating the language from designated area to approved area, which is any area of public right-of-way or public property specifically set aside or approved by the city for use by mobile vendors and mobile food units. Information on approved areas shall be available from city code enforcement. The specific approved areas will be specified at the end of the presentation with a just general map. We're adding the definition of mobile food unit, which means a trailer which may be moved by towing with a vehicle or a self-contained mobile food truck, which is designed and used for displaying, cooking, keeping, or storing any food or beverages for sale by a vendor. The mobile food unit must be inspected and approved by the Public Health Department and Environmental Health Division. This is just replacing our old mobile vendor vehicle definition. For the mobile vendor corridor, we're just specifying, instead of mobile vendor vehicles, mobile food units to reflect that updated definition. And for section 50-76-2, we're adding the mobile vendor regulations. So for mobile vendors, this section is only applicable to mobile vendors that do not meet the definition of a mobile food unit or ice cream truck. Mobile food units and ice cream trucks are subject to the regulations listed in section 50-76-3. A, mobile vendors that do not meet the definition of a mobile food unit or an ice cream truck may not display or sell food or merchandise on any public street, public alley, or sidewalk or other public grounds outside of a permitted community event or festival. B, mobile vendors that do not meet the definition of a mobile food unit or ice cream truck may operate on private property within the following zoning districts without obtaining a license with the city, provided they have permission of the property owner. This is in the limited commercial, community commercial, general commercial, and limited industrial zoning districts, as well as the public zoning district, either requiring approval from the park district or approval by the city of Dickinson, depending on the owner of the property. C, mobile vendors must comply with all other applicable federal, state, county, and city regulations and requirements. So this provides a section of the code that dictates how mobile vendors that do not classify as mobile food units or ice cream trucks may operate. They may not operate on public right-of-way, but may operate on private property in these zoning districts. So for things like the food market, or I don't know why I'm completely blanking on the name.
Farmers Market?
Farmers Market, thank you. Yeah, so they would still be allowed to operate on private property. They just wouldn't be allowed to operate on public property or in the right-of-way without obtaining a permit through the administration department. Section 50-76-3, mobile food unit regulations. Mobile food units. No person may set up or operate a mobile food unit without first obtaining a license from the city of Dickinson and must meet the requirements and conditions laid out in this section. A, this license may only be obtained if the Public Health Department has licensed the mobile food unit. A license shall be acquired even if the mobile food unit is only participating in a special event or festival. B, each license required by this section shall expire on January 31st of each year, regardless of the date of issuance. Licenses are non-transferable. There shall be a license fee as provided in the city fee schedule. We're proposing that that license fee stay as $100 as it is currently. E, a mobile food unit may operate in the following zoning districts off of the public street, subject to all regulations in this section: limited commercial, community commercial, general commercial, and limited industrial, as well as, again, the public district, so long as they have written approval from either the Park District or the City of Dickinson, depending on who owns the property. F, mobile food units looking to operate in public right-of-way adjacent to the downtown commercial or DC zoning district must obtain a temporary use permit prior to operating. This is to ensure that they're not encroaching on any of the parking availability for any of our businesses located downtown. That's sometimes a concern just due to limited parking, since there's no existing parking requirements for those businesses. G, for each license issued in compliance with this section, code enforcement will issue 2 license decals. License decals shall be affixed to the vehicle in a way that they are visible from both the sidewalk and street when parked. Failure to display the decal shall be a violation of this section. H, a mobile vendor may not grill, barbecue, or smoke food within 50 feet from any entrance of any building without first obtaining the written permission of the building owner and tenants serviced by those entrances. I, a mobile food unit shall not be parked closer than 50 feet from a restaurant without first obtaining written permission of the building owner. J, exhaust from equipment shall be a minimum of 10 feet from any structure. K, the license holder shall be responsible for the maintenance, upkeep, and security of the mobile food unit. Skirting of the mobile food unit will not be allowed. L, the license holder shall comply with all noise regulations set forth in the City of Dickinson Municipal Code. M, a mobile vendor may not set up chairs, tables, or other temporary seating. N, a mobile vendor shall be responsible to remove any garbage, spills, or stains, or repair any damage resulting from its operations. O, a mobile vendor may not leave a mobile food unit or push cart unattended at approved areas of operation unless otherwise designated in a multi-day special event permit. P, a mobile vendor may not operate within 500 feet of a special event licensed through the city. This does not apply to mobile vendors listed on the special event permit that are taking part in the permitted event. Q, a mobile food unit may not interfere with the required off-street parking for the approved area as required by the City of Dickinson Municipal Code. R, parking on streets is permitted with the mobile vendor corridor, provided it's in compliance with all ordinances, regulations, parking zones, and posted signage, and shall not hinder the lawful parking or operation of other vehicles. A mobile food unit must locate the vending window open to the public sidewalk and as close as possible to the curb. S, mobile food units must be mobile and must be removed from the street or from the location where food is sold during those hours when not open for business. Mobile food unit shall not function as a permanent structure. It must be mobile. T, ice cream trucks shall be permitted to operate on streets with a speed limit of 25 miles per hour or less outside of the downtown district. U, penalty for ordinances. Any license issued pursuant to this section may be suspended or revoked by the building official or their designee for violating any of the provisions in this chapter. Any licensee or agent or employee of a licensee who has violated any provisions of this chapter shall be subject to the following penalties. First offense is a $250 administrative fine. Second offense, a $500 administrative fine. Third offense, $750 administrative fine and license revocation. U, if an applicant wishes to contest a revocation, they shall submit a written request to the building official or their designee to be brought forward for a public hearing in front of City Commission regarding overturning the revocation or denial. The City Commission may overturn a license denial or revocation with a simple majority vote and resolution. And V, in the event that license is revoked due to the applicant violating one of the rules outlined above, the applicant may not apply for a new license until at least 6 months have passed. An applicant having had multiple license revocations in the past may serve as justification to deny any new license applications. And V, the police department may remove or cause to be removed any mobile food unit in violation of this section within public right-of-way after having notified in writing the owner of the mobile food unit of the intention to do so at least 48 hours prior to the removal. And on screen now, you can see the food truck corridor and approved areas map. So all of the streets that are highlighted in teal on that map to the left would be classified as our food truck corridor. So food trucks can park on any of those streets at any time without having to get prior approval from the city, so long as they're licensed. And then additionally, we have that parking lot just south of the Stark County Courthouse and the parking lot on the south of the Lard that they would be able to park in without prior approval. That would also be classified as part of our food truck corridor. And with that, staff did hold a public hearing regarding, or not a public hearing, but a public input meeting with the food truck owners on Monday, February 2nd, 2026, in order to get some feedback from the current operators on this ordinance. During this meeting, there were some discussions over whether to allow overnight parking for food trucks involved in special events. It was determined that yes, that would be allowed, because again, they wouldn't have anywhere else to go if they're part of a special event. And it was also decided that a food truck operator can operate within 500 feet of the entrance to a business, provided that they have written permission from that owner. As of now, staff is present to answer any questions you guys may have, and staff recommends approval of this ordinance.
Commissioners, any questions before I open up the public hearing? Any questions? The one about not being able to put out seating. Is there a reason for that?
Believe at this time it's currently included in our ordinance, but I'll let the building inspector speak more on it.
Mayor Decker, Commissioners, the seating part is, a lot of the food trucks are actually in a parking lot. So they're actually taking up parking stalls. So to actually put seating and tables in actual parking stalls, that would be the dilemma. It's safety.
You're saying it's in a privately owned business's parking lot?
Yes.
And
That's
the
where they are.
privately owned business says they can be there.
Again, we're presenting this, if that's something you want to allow.
I'm just saying if they got permission from the owner, I can think of 3 food trucks in town right now. They have like a picnic table sitting right outside the food truck or the trailer.
And Farmers Market does the same thing.
Yeah. So
Again, we thought it was a safety item, and you're actually taking up required parking also. So we're allowing the food trucks to actually go into parking lots, which in some of these parking lots, they're actually taking away the required parking. So if we're actually allowing tables, chairs, we're even taking more required parking. But if the lot would be large enough and it's not a safety issue, again, that can either stay on or take off. That was the reasoning is why it's on there.
I just see us running around a lot. All these ordinances, we're just compiling more and more for city staff to be running continuously, chasing all this stuff.
So the ordinance is already there for food trucks. We haven't had food trucks. A decade ago, I can't remember any. So
Right.
we're trying to keep up with what's coming into the city of Dickinson.
And the corridor was selected by whom?
The committee that was actually put together to go over this, fire department, police department, planning department, and community development.
Was there any community members, any food truck vendors involved in this selection of the area?
At the initial selection, I don't believe so, but again, this was all run through a public engagement meeting where we had directly contacted all food truck operators and invited them to give us their feedback. So their input was still considered. It just, once we had a proposal to show them at first.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. President,
Commissioner Bear.
I would agree with the mayor's comment about the seating and tables, especially like in private parking. If the owner of that parking lot says, go ahead and put chairs and tables out here, I mean, they're affecting their own parking, their own business. But if they decide it's okay, I don't have an issue with that. So I would ask for that part to be removed.
Okay, I think as long as they stay mobile and including the
Right.
tables and chairs stay mobile, I think that can definitely be removed from the ordinance as long as you.
I mean, I could think of the one on Villard here. They set out like a little table, a couple chairs, they're folding chairs. People pick up their order. They don't wait in their vehicle unless it's winter. Of course, they sit in their vehicle, but in the summertime, they're just sitting on the chairs waiting to pick up their food. And at the end of the night, everything's tucked in, everything's put away, like you said, if it's not permanent seating or anything, and in some of these parking lots, the section they're sitting in, that's not being used anyway. They're very large areas, so.
Would it be one where you would rather see it as some kind of call out where they may not be set up without the express permission of the property owner?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
again, to add that
Yes.
extra layer of protection?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Yep,
Okay.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
And then, I guess I would be open to that down the road, I don't know how we put it into this ordinance text-wise, that if there's, I'm just concerned about the corridors, right? And it seems kind of rando to me where they're at, you know?
Believe a lot of it was decided so there's a section near Prairie Hills Mall that was decided again because of the mall traffic, there's typically a lot of people in that area. Food trucks can get good business. The areas around DSU and NDSU are just, again, public property that oftentimes would see these food trucks for larger events come in. And then just along Villard, since there's occasionally some foot traffic for a lot of those downtown businesses. The main reason it was left out of the downtown commercial zoning district was, again, since we have very limited parking for downtown commercial, reducing it even further by kind of allowing food trucks to come and go and having basically unrestricted access to parking in that area can significantly hamper a lot of the parking availability in that area, especially since those businesses don't have an off-street parking requirement, an off-street parking minimum. This food truck corridor would be handled by code enforcement. This one would not be adopted by ordinance. So it is something that could be amended in the future. It doesn't have to always come in front of City Commission if we just want to add one street in the future. It's something that can be a pretty dynamic map that's just controlled by the building planning and code enforcement offices.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I would open up the public hearing for 1852. Anybody who wishes to come forward, please state your name and let us know your concerns.
Hello, Commissioners. Jeff Fitzik, Dickinson City resident. I don't own a food truck. I like to eat. I've got two questions, really. Looking at all of the permits and permissible areas and everything, we talk about commercial districts and et cetera. By my recollection, a couple of years ago in California, some kids with a lemonade stand were arrested because they had a lemonade stand. I don't see any provisions for residential for selling on private property. So are we California?
I don't think we're touching on that.
Well,
you know.
they've got
I mean, we have a
permits for food
definition
trucks.
of a mobile food unit.
Right,
you
but then
know.
they've got the non-mobile food thing, which would be a lemonade stand. If they're selling cookies and lemonade, you know, are we at that spot? I understand, I'm pretty sure Mr. Schwint isn't gonna run out there and arrest some kid with a lemonade stand this summer.
I think
but-
he's going to escort you out
Yeah.
right now. He's right
He
behind
might.
you.
So that was my first question, and while I applaud these guys for also contacting the food vendors, did anybody contact the district health enforcers directly?
If I may. Yeah, so they were at that public engagement meeting. We did
Thank
have
you.
conversations with them.
Okay.
And then.
That's
Leonard,
all I have.
you wanna address?
Okay.
Here's the lemonade stand, please.
Yep.
Yes, yes. By definition, the lemonade stands are not a part of this ordinance.
They're going to have to get their stickers.
We're not going to be running the Girl Scouts out either when they set up their stands for. Yeah.
I was going to say, there's a girl along Villard with her cookies. Let's not arrest her.
Like I said, my biggest concern is the where we have as permissible that we may expand. We don't know how the city's going to change and what trend may allow that in the future, that we have more district And two, with the seating, as long as it's temporary seating and we're not, I guess for it's still a public hearing, so anybody else wants to come forward, please come forward. Anyone else from the public? Go ahead and close the public hearing. Like I said, again, as long as, you know, the seating we're taking care of. I'm trying to envision right now. I like to eat, so I know where all the food trucks are. I've probably tried every one of them in town, but there's a couple of them that I'm concerned with right now that, as this is written, they're sitting on people's property and they're outside of a business right now, sitting in a parking spot. Are we going to go in there and tell them, you got to move this?
So based on this ordinance, they are supposed to be mobile food units. So part of the intention is to keep some of those mobile. Whether or not they go back to the same place every day, that's fine, but they do have to leave when they're not operating because they are, by definition, supposed to be a mobile vendor. If they're just sit in one parking space permanently, that's more of a permanent structure.
Well, then we have about 15 of them that have to move every day right now. There's no way they're gonna move. I mean, they sit there every day. They don't move. There's one sitting in the mall. There's one sitting across from Mac Tools. There's two sitting right down the street here. There's one out at Dakota Sports. Or they don't move. They're trailers or they're trucks, but they sit there every day. They don't move. The only ones that I know of that move a lot are the donut thing and the ice cream place that come to Legacy Square, and a few of the other ones. JD's Barbecue pulls his trailer around.
Yeah, the old hospital has several that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand where we're coming here. I mean, but this ordinance is saying they have to hook up every night and drive away. That's where I guess I'm having a hard time to understand here, so. Because that isn't happening. Or does it mean that it has to stay mobile so it can be picked up and moved? Which is, I can understand that, but where they have to pull it out every day and then bring it back every morning on private property, is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking about that just on the public street? Because I missed that too, then obviously in planning and zoning, because I would add the same question.
Yeah, I would think if you're on private property, that's a different issue.
I mean, I can understand telling them it's got to be a mobile unit and can't be a structure that's, you know, there forever, but.
I think we have. If you read through it, it says it can't be skirted.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's no skirting. But to require them to hook up every day and move, it's just, I don't know. Especially if they're sitting on private property. If you're sitting on a public right of way, you're going to have a permit. Like the bar down the street from us right here, they bring in the food truck for when they have a special event and it sits out there. I mean, the understanding is it's sitting in a city parking spot. It's going to be there that night or maybe 2 nights, a Friday, Saturday night, and then it's gone. That's, to me, is perfectly okay as long as they meet all the health code requirements and the setbacks and all that. But all these other food trucks and trailers right now, they don't move. They haven't moved, some of them, in years.
That's how people find them. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't.
I think the intention was to make it so that any food truck would have to be mobile and would have to move off the property. If we are looking at instead making it just apply to the corridor or the food truck corridor and any public property, we can certainly add that to the ordinance if we're thinking that it would be prohibitive to require that they move off of private property.
I think we need some
Because
clarification.
it does in a way kind of defeat the purpose of a mobile food truck if they're not mobile, if they're
Well,
pretty much permanent structures that just have wheels.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I'm fine with everything, but I mean, these food trucks and some of these food trucks in town have been there for years in the same location. Now we're saying that every night they have to hook it up and drive it off. I mean, I don't know if that's even feasible to ask. I mean, are we enforcing that now?
That's not in our ordinance right now. That's why we're proposing a lot of this.
Well, even in the event on the public streets where you have the situation that the mayor just brought up, that individual sets up and then he levels that trailer out. He doesn't want to move it. Next morning, if he brings it back, someone could be parked there, and then where's he supposed to put the trailer for the event? So we got to have some leeway there, even in a public street, especially businesses that get a permit to have a special event outside their place and they're actually parking on public streets.
So is that, if there's a special event, they're able to park there for the duration of the event, right?
Yes.
So
that would cover that.
that would cover that.
Yeah,
If the
special
event,
events
if
have
the
a
event
separate-
is a weekend long, as long as that, the city had, that group or whatever has that,
Yes, so that loophole already does exist with special use,
Yep.
or with special events.
So
So
I
that's
guess I
taken
would,
care of.
I would like to see it say that they have to move every night, that if they're in the corridor and not during that's not a special event where they've been permitted to stay there, they can't stay in the corridor for 2 weeks. But if they're on private property, and I don't think it's feasible that we ask them to move every night. I mean, that's almost seems,
I think,
who's gonna do this? That's the next
Commissioners,
question.
Perhaps, as we look at this, to Ms. Burchak's point, I mean, I think the point here is they're mobile, right? So I think we could narrow it down if you want to set a time frame on it. Obviously, we'd have to make sure that's being tracked, which creates some concerns from enforcement, of course. But I think the other thing that, for these individuals that have stayed in the same place for so long, and now we're setting up, tables and chairs, essentially it's an outdoor restaurant. So I guess the question becomes, what do you want to see? What is acceptable in that respect? Because if they haven't moved and they're not moving, then they're not a mobile vendor, and they don't qualify under this. And unless there's going to be a different categorization that we're going to place on them, then we need to look at that as well. But they're not mobile if they're not moving, and so they're not fitting this provision. So if you want to allow that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think we need to
But I don't want,
characterize it
I
differently.
don't want them to be pouring a foundation and building something there either, and it's calling it a food truck. It's gotta have wheels on it, and it's gotta be able to be moved. That to me is mobile. Even though it's not getting moved, that at least is mobile. It can be hooked up to a truck and pulled out of there at any time. They're not pulling the wheels off and setting it down and skirting it in, and that to me is permanent. Mobile, if it's a trailer that can be pulled off at any given time, is mobile. So
So I think on,
this is totally unfeasible, is what I'm saying. I mean, this would affect every food truck in town right now.
And I'm going back to, okay, we're going to enforce this on complaint. Where is the list of the complaints now? Who has complained about our food trucks?
I don't know that we have. Maybe I'm wrong.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, as far as complaints, this ordinance was tasked to the committee to come up with the ordinance, so we have something on the books that we can actually follow. The designee, there was never a list. There might have been a policy at some point in time, but where did that go? So we're trying to clarify something that we can actually work with. If it's mobile, is anything you can hook up and pull away, we're okay with that. Some of these may have hardwired units. That wouldn't be permissible. those are the types of things where these mobile vendors would become a structure or used as a structure. But I do agree with, if you can move it, hook up to it and move it, it is mobile.
But if it's hooked up to, say, electrical, right? More than not, they're just hooked up to electrical. They're not hooked up to city water or sewer or any of that stuff because they're self-contained. Okay. If there's a violation there, we have it on the books, you have it on the books, building and code, to enforce that violation. And if there's a problem with the food prep and let's say there's bad conditions or whatever, Southwest Health takes care of that. So we're adding all this.
I concur with the group here as far as on public right-of-way, they should be moved. They shouldn't be sitting there for days on end, or we use our 48 hours. I mean,
And that's fine. I mean, if it's a special event, they come in, they get a special event from Rita, they get permitted, they can set up for that 48 hours, and then we expect them to move.
right, and then on the roadways where we
Right.
actually, that is depicted on that area, that's where they could possibly be that. If we use that 48-hour rule, if that's what the wishes of the commission are, that's what we'll use. Again, to move, they're not being moved now. We haven't received any complaints that I'm aware of, so I'm okay with that portion also.
So specifically in section 3S, that's the only place as I scanned through that specifically requires that they must be removed from the street or from location where food is sold during the hours when not open for business. I think that could easily be either removed or ultimately changed to identify specifically city right-of-way, or otherwise, similar to Mr. Schwint's explanation, following, or we could even reference back to our parking ordinance, something like that, so.
We've got to look at the one above, at the top too. They must not be left unattended. Well, unless we're going to allow them to sleep overnight in there.
It's a 24-hour.
So the difference there is, again, mobile food unit may not be left unattended at approved areas. So that doesn't factor in private property. That's just in the food truck corridor, which I don't suggest removing that because I don't, unless, again, it's left for a special event, which is already one of the call-outs for that section. I would not recommend removing that item because that only applies for the food truck corridor. It doesn't apply for private property.
I mean, like I said, I don't have a problem in the corridor because they're not coming there to set up for days.
Correct.
They're probably going to pull in there, work for a day, and leave. Where these ones on private property, they're going to stay there for multiple months or maybe even years. Who knows? But so I don't have a problem along the corridor asking them to move it every night or every 48 hours or whatever. That doesn't bother me one bit. But these ones that are set up now, that would. Like I said, that probably affect 90% of the ones that are out there right now that we have in town. And I think we're getting requests daily for more from food trucks, so.
I mean, eventually, the ones that are successful, they do transition into a restaurant. We've seen that in town. They
Grub Tub is a perfect example.
they make themselves into a very successful business, and I think that there's one right now that's looking to, again, transition themselves from being a food truck into a sit-down restaurant. That's what we kind of want, and this affords them that ability. I mean, they develop their reputation, then eventually they become, a sit-down. But to chase through all this, and I get all the setbacks for fire, for building code, all that. Hey, I'm cool with that. We don't want to infringe on stuff. I just don't want to, it ends up, we don't have enough staff, Mr. Schwinn, already for you guys to chase all this stuff. And I just don't want to compound this because we ticky-tacked something on, and now all of a sudden, you know, some guy got a bad taco somewhere, and now he's gonna call Leonard because, hey, this setback isn't right, you know, and especially there's no way that I could even possibly consider the width that they'd have to be moved. Because like I said, there's a food truck on the south side. It's been there for 5 years. It hasn't, I don't even think they fired up the motor. It's sat in the one spot, right? They got that little market right there on the south side. So, and if there's something wrong with the food that we think, they'll call Southwest Health and have them come in and do a food inspection, you know? And they're not sitting on private property. So, I don't know.
Mr. President, I think that the simplest way to do that, based on the conversations that are being had here, is just simply accept out and say that any, like Ms. Burchak said, any situation where it's in the public right-of-way, it would be required to be moved unless it's at a special event, it's for the duration of the special event. And then if you desire to remain stationary on private property, that it would not be required to be removed. I think that's as simple as we can get it. Seems to be in line with what your thoughts are here, and I'm positive we can make those adjustments to make that happen.
Yeah, so they still would need the decals and the list that you would, for the city, that you would know, the designee, you'd have all that.
They would still be required for everything that's required for the license, but
Yeah.
we can certainly add like an item S, just add a section at the end that just says that they must be removed from location and when not in business unless they have approval of the property owner or some language akin to that allows them to remain on private property specifically.
So do we want staff to clean up the language and come back with that and then have another public hearing with it?
I think so, yep.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, so then we could table this and then bring it back with cleaned up language with intent, and then we'll have another public hearing we can have another public hearing for this. Okay, so I'd look for a motion to table.
Mr. President, I move to table.
We have a motion to table 1852
Second.
by Commissioner Riddle, second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle.
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Mr. Frederick.
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye,
Chair votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
That's the last of the public hearing. Let's go back here.
I think we were on D, I believe.
D?
I think.
All right. I was hoping we were like on F or G, but you can take me all the way back to
I
D.
believe it was D, I'm not sure though.
You got me thinking about tacos now, street tacos, so. Okay, so we have a road maintenance chip seal bid award. Mr. Sklatchik?
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a bid award for project number 2026-01. That's the 26 road maintenance, and this is the chip seal portion of that project. If you recall, we did break out, there's two separate bid packages. One was for the mill and overlay. That was, the bid award was just approved. And then this was a separate bid package for just the chip seal and fog seal associated with this project. Bid opening took place at City Hall on Thursday, March 12th, 2026, where 3 bids were received. Engineer's opinion of probable cost was $3,516,339.00, and the low bid for this was Bituminous Paving Incorporated at $2,721,185.05. This will be a chip and fog seal of approximately 23 centerline miles of street for pavement preservation purposes, and this was included in our 26 capital improvement plan, and this will be completed during the 26 construction season. City engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchik. A lot of mileage going on right there, 23 miles. How many total miles we have? Like,
I think we're right around just under 200, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
200 centerline miles.
this is like 10% that we're,
Just over, so.
yeah.
and a lot of what we've been ultimately trying to achieve is covering what we've recently paved or mill and overlaid in the last couple of years. So, and that's what we're proposing right now is kind of an every other year include the chip and fog seal into our road maintenance project to preserve that pavement within a reasonable amount of time after those pavements have been either placed or mill and overlaid. So.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I'm just glad this one came in on the right side.
There are no other comments or questions. I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Murphy,
Second.
Go ahead.
second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Item E, we have a 2026 utility and street improvement bid award. Mr. Skolacek.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a bid award for project number 2026-05. That's the 26 Utility and Street Improvement Project. Bid award to BEK Consulting, LLC. This bid award is specifically contingent upon final approval by the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality Review and Approval. Bid opening took place at City Hall on Thursday, March 12, 2026, where 2 bids were received. Engineer's opinion of probable cost was $9,373,542.25, and the low bid was $9,398,094.15. Some attributes associated with the project. Many of these streets, sidewalks, curb and gutter throughout the area have ultimately reached their end of life, which is why a lot of these are being fully reconstructed. 11 blocks approximately of water main replacement, 2 blocks of storm sewer replacement along 4th Avenue Southeast, and upsizing of that pipe to prevent future flooding in that intersection. Multiple lead service lines are associated with this project to be replaced, and then there's approximately 7 blocks of sanitary sewer main that's being replaced. Again, thank you to Public Works team for a lot of televising of sanitary and storm. Unfortunately, these segments of pipe have basically reached their end of life. There's some significant cracking in some of them, and some of them are even starting to, on technical terms, squash, so they're starting to lose their structural integrity. Construction is planned to be completed during the 2026 construction season. A variety of different funding sources as noted in the memo, and this was included in our 26 capital improvement plan. City engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Skolacek. Any questions on this 2026 utility and street improvement project? If there are no questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further comments or questions? And most of this is coming us either through the state with the lead. We're getting a lot of this paid for with lead line replacement and GPT. Then I guess. Probably
Yeah,
be
there's
the
a
second biggest.
whole host of different funding
Yeah.
sources associated as listed in the memo, and if you'd like, I can include in the tidbits on Thursday the full list as we have broken out as far as enterprise funds to, we do have the Department of Water Resources grant. We just had the pre-commission meeting the other day. It's listed to be funded at the commission meeting, I think on April 8th, if I recall the date correctly. Cross our fingers for that grant. That'd be very great. Almost $2.1 million for that grant. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into projects like this to get the appropriate funding, because these projects, they're expensive, especially something like this. And this is like generational. I mean, it's going to sit there for 40, 50 years again. So hopefully, right? All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Frederick, second by, right?
Me.
Dr. Bear?
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and vote. unless anyone has any other further comments. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We have the I-94 West Business Loop and Roundabout bid concurrence with North Dakota DOT. Mr. Sklatchek.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a bid concurrence with the City of Dickinson project number 2022-33. That's the I-94 West Business Loop project. It includes the 2 individual roundabouts, one located at Highway 10 and the West Villard or West Business Loop, as well as the other roundabout located then on Highway 22 and 8th Street South. So the bid opening took place on Friday, February 27th, 2026, where 5 total bids were received, and the engineer's opinion of probable cost was $19,477,080.40, and the low bid was $18,766,686.14, and that was Martin Construction Incorporated. So this will ultimately include, as shown in the previous slide, a full urbanization of the I-94 West Business Loop from the I-94 interchange to State Avenue, the roundabout at Highway 10 and I-94 West Business Loop, as well as then the roundabout on Highway 22 and 8th Street South. Construction's planned for 2026 construction season, and this was budgeted within the 2026 capital improvement plan. A number of different sources as listed in the memo as far as funding. And city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchek. Well, these are long time coming intersections here.
Yeah.
These roundabouts. So thank you for all your hard work on all this and getting these done. Now we just get, we were down in Medora this last week, and they got a nice big welcome to Medora right in the middle of their roundabouts. So I would think DOT would allow Dickinson to have one too. So, but
That
we'll
is
work
something
on,
we are
we'll work
working
on that,
for.
right?
We are working on that.
We're working on
We are
that.
working on it.
So-
So I haven't seen the official policy yet from the DOT, but that is something that they started, I believe, in 2025.
We'll have to get that policy out of Medora, whatever they got going right there, so. But any other comments or questions? Not, I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Riddle,
Second.
second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Mr. Sklatchek, you have the 9th Street Southeast Task Order Amendment?
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a task order amendment with Highlands Engineering and Surveying, PLLC, for the project along 5th Street Southeast, City of Dickinson project number 2024-17. Estimated for total construction engineering as specified in the agreement is $214,884.00. All scopes of work included will meet the North Dakota DOT requirements for construction specifications and material testing. City attorneys reviewed the task order with no comments. So key attributes in this task order amendment, construction administration, construction staking, material testing, and final reporting and documentation. And city engineering staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchek. This is task order 241335-02. Are there any questions or comment for city staff? I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bear. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick,
Aye.
Dr. Bear,
Aye.
Mr. Riddle,
Aye.
Mr. Murphy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. We have the 2026-2027 water main replacement DWSRF loan resolution. Mr. Sklatchek.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration is a resolution to authorize Katie Greenwood, the Deputy Finance Director for the City of Dickinson, as the authorized individual on behalf of the City of Dickinson to execute the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan through the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality. Loan is specific for both the 2026 and 2027 years of water main replacements. Total requested amount was $6 million. Between the two projects, in the 2026 project, we intend to utilize approximately $2 million of the loan, and the remaining $4 million is associated with the 27 water main replacement project. This does have a 2% interest rate for all loan balances that are carried. And city engineering and finance staff recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchek. Any questions, comments? This is Resolution 13-2026. I'd look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Bear.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Riddle. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And Mr. Sklatchek, the 2026 Sidewalk Program Voluntary Special Assessment Resolution.
Good evening again, Mr. President, Commissioners. For your consideration, resolution for the 2026-07-1, that's the 2026 Sidewalk Program Special Improvement District. So resolution is to create a sidewalk special improvement district within the City of Dickinson, authorizing the improvements and assessments on a voluntary funding option for all citizens. This SID is payable over a 10-year period of time at the interest rate of 4.1%. Special assessments paid in full by October 1st, 2026 will not be charged interest or penalties. This allows a mechanism for the citizens to utilize for sidewalk, curb and gutter, and driveway approaches within the public right-of-way for a voluntary special assessment process, and costs are therefore then special assessed to the individual parcels where the improvements have occurred. And resolution will create the legal authority for the City of Dickinson to assess these costs for the sidewalk, curb and gutter, and other improvements to the individual properties pursuant to North Dakota Century Code Section 40-31 and City of Dickinson Municipal Code Chapter 48, which encompasses all properties within the corporate limits of the City of Dickinson. Approval of this resolution will authorize the engineering staff to proceed with the finalization of the project bid specifications and then advertise this project for bid. This is a voluntary program, and no property owners will be required to participate within this special improvement district. Improvements to sidewalk, curb and gutter, and driveways, as provided in this resolution, will be limited to developed properties only, so property owners engaging in new construction activities will not be eligible to participate with the sidewalk improvement district. Construction is intended to occur throughout the 2026 construction season, and city engineering staff recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Sklatchek. Any questions for Josh or city staff? The attached document that we have is all 2025.
Yep.
Everything in it is 2025. So, at least on my screen, everything is 2025. And the resolution number is already established, but this is resolution 14-2026. So, we need an updated document.
Accidentally attached the wrong one from the
previous year.
From the 25.
Yep.
I'm not sure why that didn't get updated, but memo was up to date.
So just for the commission, anything that is, they will amend that to have all the 2026 dates in there. And I will assure you that I won't sign anything until it is if the motion is to pass, I will make sure that all the dates are correct, so. Again, this is 14-2025. I mean 6. I'm going back now. If only. So,
Need a
Well,
taco?
I will make the motion to approve the 2026 sidewalk program voluntary special assessment resolution.
And I will
All right.
second that.
a motion to approve by Commissioner Frederick, second by Commissioner Murphy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Mr. Frederick?
Aye.
Mr. Murphy?
Aye.
Dr. Bear?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. That is it for that. We had no one sign up for public comments this evening. So we'll move into commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments?
Mr. President,
Commissioner Bear?
I would like to thank Mr. Dossinger and city staff that worked hard to,
He took my thunder. Go ahead. No, they did an amazing job. so.
that worked hard to bring what I consider a very successful League of Cities conference here. So
Yeah.
I want to thank you.
Yeah, kudos. I mean, between Mr. Dossinger, I know the time you put in and city staff put in, and the CVB and all those involved, and I heard nothing but just rave reviews. City staff that helped with the event and were part of the panels, they did an amazing job. Just a really, really smooth event. The tours, I was so proud going through all the different things and showing people what we've accomplished in the city. You have a lot to be proud of.
Thank you, Mr. President and Dr. Bear. I think it was a great event for our community. I want to thank the Public Works staff, museum staff, police and fire department. We did do a tour of those facilities, and everybody that attended that tour greatly impressed with the professionalism of staff and what our facilities look like. So it was enjoyed showing the other city leaders from across the state our facilities and our staff.
Yep. Mrs. Winko did an awesome job on
Sure.
her panel. So, you know, a lot of the people made comments. We had to split up. There were so many people, we had to split them up into two different kind of sessions. And a lot of people made comments they wish we could have had dual sessions because they missed out. And they wanted to be in one that was with city finance, and then another one dealing with tornadoes and the legal part and auditors. And no, it was a great time, and the weather cooperated pretty much. And got to tour the library, which is super cool. Yeah, looking forward to all that. So, again, thank you for all your hard work. We really did an awesome job. So, anything else, commissioners? All right, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.